Dear friend, it's as though Chicago remembered me.
And when I'm back in Chicago, I feel it. Another version of me. I was in it. I wave goodbye to the
Megan, you need a friend with a boat. You need a friend with a boat.
That's your grad gift. I bought you a boat.
Surprise, surprise.
Can you imagine?
I had initially been called back to Chicago to attend my oldest friend Megan's master's graduation. The night in itself was as chaotic as any graduation night typically is. Traffic along Lake Michigan, a way too hot and overcrowded venue, and even our dinner reservations didn't go as planned.
They're playing Biggie.
But Megan's accomplishment was well worth the friction of the night, which we took to as easily as children do to the invitation of summer.
Press the red button.
It was definitely a practice of flow and surrender for me, a glimpse at the intensity of travel that this period of my life has offered me, which oftentimes leads to incredibly fun outcomes. And then we ended up celebrating with pizza and beer at Megan's apartment while playing video games, which was honestly much preferred. The next day, we went out to the rural part of Illinois, which was nice because my previous trips to Chicago had always been within city limits, and it was beautiful to witness the nature and the life that Megan had built for herself during her time living in Chicago. Even though as a poet, I didn't quite always understand the complexities of physics itself. In the years that passed from my previous visit to Chicago, where I rediscovered my desire to tell stories, I had cultivated my identity as a writer. I had even brought with me the first few copies of my poetry chapbook, Eurydice, which I had printed the week before arriving to Chicago. I wanted to use this time to attend poetry readings, but not for being an amateur poet. I actually wasn't able to attend any open mics because most were sold out before I could even purchase a ticket. And it's not that I wasn't trying. I did do my research and even reached out to a few venues. Even my online marketing for my book was getting little traction, like I was shadow banned. I realized that I had a fear of being seen that had partially blocked my ability to share myself and my work, which had actually started the last time I was here. Being back in Chicago, even as a new version of me, forced me to confront this fear, if only so I could let it go and strengthen my desire to express myself and share my voice. I go into the sphere of being seen as a writer in greater detail in my Substack. The link for that is below in the description, and it also includes film photography that I took during this trip. Where's your brother? Hey. Bye. I'll see you never. So I don't know what happened to this audio. I tried to save it but couldn't. But essentially what I was saying that my trip to Chicago wasn't a total bust or void of poetry. I ended up attending a reading of Giovanni's Room at the Blanc Gallery held in the South Side by the Chicago, Michigan Poet Laureates. There, I met a poet named Nuna who agreed to go with me the following day to the Poetry Foundation. Meeting Nuna felt affirming because there was something enchanting about the soft-spokenness of her expression, which seemed to strike everyone at the event when she read. In the poetry world, those who take up most room are those who speak the loudest. It seems to be the defining factor that determines if you are remembered among the noise of opinions, thoughts, and voices all demanding your attention. But Nuna's performance turned all of this on its head, as her soft voice didn't demand attention. Rather, it captivated the audience into a quiet stillness. She didn't need to project her voice to fill the venue, as poets are told to. Instead, she quieted the audience and invited them in towards her to listen. The grace of her performance and the delicate flowering of her expression proved something entirely different. That soft voices deserve to be heard too, and oftentimes, they are the ones that say what really needs to be heard. Right now, I'm actually just packing because tomorrow I am flying out to New York. And if I'm being quiet, it's because it's actually really late. It's like nearly 12. The first few days of being in Chicago were very, very busy. And I didn't have the opportunity to go to these open mic nights that I originally intended on going to. My intention to come to Chicago was first and foremost because my best friend was graduating, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna go out all the way, like it'd be cool to like attend some open mic nights and be able to like read my chapbook at it. It's really hard because I had no connections to the poetry world out here, and I had no idea like of any organizations to follow or to reach out to. And something that I didn't know was that out here in Chicago and in New York, because I'm preparing for next week, is that they have cover charges in order to get in. In Portland, that's like not really a thing. There are some that do have that, but it's not very common. On Sunday, there was one that I was really wanting to go to, but they had like a $15 cover charge, and initially I was like, okay, yeah, let's like go to this, and that was kind of our plan. But we're also going out to visit my friend's work, which is kind of a ways out, but there was like 6 of us going. We had gone out the night before for her graduation, and we stayed out so late, and we went to bed super late. And I woke up the next morning, it's around 9 o'clock, and people didn't start getting up until 11. And I kind of just was like, yeah, you know, it's just going to be really impossible for us to go all the way out there to go visit her job and give her the space that she deserves, and then to rush all like 6 bodies all the way back into Chicago to get back by 4:30 and make sure that we all have our tickets and that I'm signed up. And I was like, it's just not gonna happen, and you know what, I'm gonna surrender and just let that go. I was gonna go to another event that was like kind of pride themed, and I found out that they were sold out, that you had to buy the tickets beforehand. And there was this moment where I was feeling like a really big failure. Like, I came here to do these things and now they're not happening, and at the same time I'm creating all these advertisements for my chapbook online, and for some reason I'm shadow banned on Instagram, which all of this is like mundane and really not that big of an issue. These are just frustrations that I was finding myself in, being like, I'm really trying to progress with this and trying to put myself out there, and nothing is working. I was very confused by it, and I was like, why am I like all of a sudden shadow banned when I'm like really trying my hardest to put myself out there? I kind of came to realize that there was something going on more energetically and emotionally within me. I think that all of this is just a manifestation of my fear of being seen, because the last time I was here in Chicago, I was going through such a massive and difficult breakup, and I was super upset by this breakup. There was this feeling of I no longer want to be perceived because of this sense of shame and failure that I went onto my Instagram and just like removed all my followers until I had like 50 followers or less. And to me, that was a very, very traumatic moment. And I taught myself that it wasn't okay to be seen by the world, and it wasn't safe, because I thought like, oh, everyone's going to reject me because I felt such a huge sense of failure. And in that moment, I also didn't accept myself, which is really, really hard to say, but it was also a really good realization. A few months later, I ended up actually deactivating every single one of my social media accounts, and I went off social media for like 4 years while I healed. And at that time, that's really what I needed to do. I was able to grow outside of my own perception of how other people perceive me, and it was very healthy, and I grew, and there was no pressure to be certain thing. But now I'm back and I'm online, and I'm also at the same time trying to put myself out into the world with my chapbook and attend these open mic nights, and it's just not working out. And I had to realize that I almost feel like energetically I had shadow banned myself for so many years, and now I'm like back in the exact same place where I had shadow banned myself, and I'm having to work through those things and go back behind that shadow and really sit with that fear and be like, why am I so afraid of being perceived by people? Why does their rejection matter more than my own self-acceptance? And if I love myself so much that I'm encouraging myself to be seen and perceived, then can anyone really hurt me? Does their validation matter? And is it through encouraging myself to be seen and telling myself and creating those new stories that I am worthy enough to be seen, and that the things that I have to say matter, that cultivates greater self-love instead of giving into the fear and the shadow of being seen? I had to sit with the desire of being seen. So what ended up happening actually was I ended up attending a reading in the south side of Chicago, and it was hosted by the Chicago Poet Laureate as well as the Poet Laureate of Detroit, and they just read their poetry and talk literature, and more specifically around James Baldwin to honor his 100-year birthday. One of these poets that were sitting right across from me really stuck out because her voice was really soft and very soothing, and I like that because I feel like my voice is very soft and soothing, and that's what I really like about my voice, and I really enjoy how it's very calming to people, not in any negative way, but like I feel like a lot of times poets are very expressive and assertive, and they're declaring and they're exclaiming, and this poet's voice was so soft, and I was like, that's so lovely. And I went up to her afterwards and I introduced myself and just told her how I was having a hard time open mic nights, but that I was actually going to go to the Poetry Foundation, and she was like, oh, like I'll go to that with you. We ended up going there together today. Wow, she was such an incredible person, and we just had this really, really great conversation that put so much into clarity for me. I held on to every single word that she was saying, and the conversations we were having was so affirming to everything that I've been experiencing and everything that I've desired and have gone through. I realized that Chicago wasn't my time to step out into the light, to step out into the sun, and it was really about a time of me going behind that shadow band and sitting with it and working through my fears. I can't go up into the world if there's still so much fear holding me back. I can't show up with that fear. I have to show up with the desire to be seen and to be known and to be heard and to be understood. And I had to find that for myself. This time period gave me that opportunity to be with those feelings and thoughts and to find strength and courage to be seen, as cheesy as that is. But that was my lesson here in Chicago, and I still got so much out of it. And maybe it didn't happen the way that I had intended it to, and I can only hope that New York will be better, and I have a feeling that it will be. And I'm finding these open mic nights early and reaching out and figuring out everything and getting things in order. I think it's gonna be better. I have no idea what's about to happen, and that's insane. That's literally insane. I'm about to go through another portal. Like, this is ending, and I feel like, oh, like, it's ending, it's time to go home. But, like, no, I'm about to go to New York. Wow.
I am waiting for a bus at the end of the night, under street lamp, bent face flamed by the light. I'm going away, I'm gone away, I'm gone away. And the sun gonna shine on a brand new day.
It's my first bodega sandwich. J-Lo would be so proud of me. Who? J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez. New York has tossed and turned me upside down, then right side up. It is a concert on the senses. My heart feels like a stuffed Brooklyn garbage bin, and my throat is a lid keeping it shut closed. It is hot. I'm not hungover, thank God. You should let me. What has offered me reprieve is a now open window and the bird songs that enter. There is no inch of earth here that belongs to anyone. And I am still trying to understand the body of New York. Throughout its history, all sorts of dreamers, wanderers, refugees, immigrants, the lost and devoted, have come to New York City to make something of themselves. I suppose this is why I am here. Coming to New York feels like a rite of passage on the poet's path, especially when walking through Greenwich Village or writing poetry in Washington Square Park. But even though I was attending poetry and writing events and meeting other writers, I was still worried. Is going after my dreams a worthwhile investment, or is it a loss that I can't gain back in my time and my money, my youth? Will I even amount to anything? Or is fate determined by luck, timing, the alignment of stars? Or is my destiny determined by my own actions and decisions to make it so? While I was there, I was reading Frankenstein, and I came across a quote that read, I was encouraged to hope that my present attempts would at least lay the foundations of future success. It's like, despite the doubt that I was feeling, the work that I'm putting in to make my dreams come true are the subtle signs that my future visions were possible, that the efforts of my labor was what actually made the dream real. It was like I was planting seeds for my future garden. I had gotten an invitation to Nuyorican Poets Cafe from a connection that I actually made in Greece the previous month in May. The historic open mic was full of incredible talent, and every artist was so encouraging to one another. For them, it was probably just a normal Wednesday night, but for me, it held more weight than that. And perhaps a lot more risk, because I had once fallen in love and gotten my heart broken, then wrote about it. Now I had finally found the courage to step into the spotlight, to speak of it. My full name is Jacqueline Molina Guillen, and I just forgot to add that last part. Yes, I am actually visiting New York for the very first time, and Thank you for welcoming me very warmly. I'm going to be reading from my forthcoming chapbook. It's called Eurydice. And this first one is called Early to Rise. I would like to begin quietly, to rise early and slow, before foggy dreams abandon my eyes, before my mind has yet to decipher its meaning. While the sky dons milky constellations, I take in the first drink of breath, swallowed with good intention. Would you at least allow me this, the solitary period of quietude before dawn, when the sun will peak its crown over the horizon, before its orange hands raise the faces of tulips and stir awake birds resting in trees, before their choir of matins and the tolling of the bell tower announces to the sleepers the newness of the day. Thank you. This next one is called Wild Women, and it's very pride themed, and it's for Mary Oliver, who is historically a openly gay poet. I love her so much. She's my queen. After 3 days of being the only two women, rafting on the Snake River among men, silently judging our choice of cheap beer, we made our way to the Tetons, which are often overlooked for that timid geyser up north in Yellowstone. Crowds wait hours to watch its immaculate ejaculation for a beat and a breath and then say, "Oh, is that it?" But we wanted to behold those mountains hanging from Earth's chest like large and wonderful breasts, lactating water into fresh lakes to swim in. As we drove to the park, we collected animal sightings like relics. First, there was a black bear seated in the arid grass, unperturbed by the people gathering nearby. Then the mother grizzly guiding her cub over the hill away from the sight of traffic. Naturally, there were herds of bison, but never like before, and the doe we fell upon after I said I felt akin to its spirit. You said you were more like the wolf, running on the silty earth naked-footed, sleeping under the moon's drifting sky, and wearing a heart devoted to play. With this came the medicine of abandonment. Fear became illusionary, transient thoughts opening a trail towards enlivenment, and we were brave enough and forever willing to trek it. Dirt collected beneath fingernails, hair became untamable hives, skin darkened from the touch of sun. Oh, how the open desert loved us, as we became reacquainted with the animals that house our spirits, remembering how to nurture the connection between wild and women. Thank you so much. This is the last one that I'll read. It's called Antelope Sky. The rhythm of each day is set by the sky's amber eye. It was evening based on its slow blinking, and we were fixing to watch it close, then set in its place, where the mountains stood in the western backdrop, the memory of stars actively working in our favor. On top of that cliff, youth had not yet pervaded us. You with your flannel shirt, an easy, reliable comfort. Wanting certainty too, I said, if we ever get back together again. But your eyes just met the water's edge. Scarcely moving, we become like Grecian statues, whose beauty is stolen gradually by time and passing winds, by the penances of inaction and indecision. We are unknowingly living in a myth before you become a legend and turn me into a rumored song. As if ashamed by the sun's abandonment, the sky blushes. It was then that I wanted to know what lay beyond the door that had opened between your silence and the bison grazing in the fields below, as we waited for the day to drift beneath a horizon calling it forward. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Becoming Grass. Thank you so much, and let's connect.
Yeah!